Hello everyone, welcome to the Huddle. I'm Tim Gross, joined here by John Walk and Diana Pugliese. We're talking about week 10 of the high school football season. Guys, this is it. Some teams will be packing it up for the long winter after this. Some teams will be moving on to the postseason. That's to be determined which ones will, though. So let's get right into it. We're going to be talking about Manheim Central Garden Spot and Donegal at Annville-Ceona. Let's start with the Section 2 game. Manheim Central, 4-game winning streak, looking to clinch at least a share of the Section 2 title, depending on what happens with Cocalico and Solanco. They could be by themselves by the end of the night. But Garden Spot looking to play the spoiler, and they're looking to push for a postseason berth. You think the Spartans pull the upset?
Well, we'll see. It was exactly 5 weeks ago that we all sat here and said Manheim Central is back to being the Manheim Central of old. They had just come off a 69-14 win over a Lampeter-Strasburg team that was pretty good and loves to run the ball. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that Garden Spot can go in as a talented team that loves to run the ball and pull off the upset here. Especially after considering Manheim Central's. I say that because, their big win last week over Solanco, 78-26, was pretty impressive. So we think Manheim Central is, again, back to being the Manheim Central of old. But again, history tells us otherwise. Both Garden Spot and Manheim Central defenses are giving up a ton of yardage. So I think this is going to be a back-and-forth game. I don't want to say a shootout because I don't think you can say a shootout if both teams are just running the ball and not throwing I don't know how you describe that anyway. But, yeah, if I had to take a pick, I don't feel good about it, but I'm just going to say the Barons because it's kind of pick your poison offense, and I like Manheim Central's more than Garden Spot's.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, John. I'm going to go with Central as well. I think if you look at last week's game against Solanco, that offense, Cody Kegeres came out with 4 touchdowns on the ground, 2 through the air. That offense is clicking. If you look at the defense, they let up 303 yards to Solanco rushing. We know Garden Spot likes to run the ball. They have Roth and Jeffers there that can take care of that. But when you look at the offensive statistics for the Barons, I think that they have the edge on this one.
Yeah, I agree. I think Manheim Central and their defense gives up a lot of yards, but they've also had games where they've really held teams and kept them off the scoreboard while giving up a lot of yardage. So I think they'll be able to make some plays and hold off Garden Spot. And Garden Spot had that impressive win last week against Lampeter-Strasburg, where it was like you said, kind of a shootout where it was back and forth right through up to the very end. But yeah, I think Manheim Central takes this one and gets at least a share of the Section 2 title. Speaking of section titles, Donegal at Annville-Ceona, they're both 4-1 in Section 3. That's a 3-way tie with Lancaster Catholic, which plays Northern Lebanon. Who do you like in this one?
Yeah, and here's a stat for you. Annville-Ceona is 1-2 in games this year where its offense was held under 300 yards, which is notable because I think that's going to happen this week against a very good and stout Donegal defense. And guess what? The AC defense, they're giving up more than 350 yards a game. For as many struggles as the Donegal offense has had this year, I still think the Indians are not going to have any trouble moving the ball with their wing T offense. But what decides it for me is this. Annville-Ceona, they need to win this game if they have any hopes at keeping their season alive and going into districts. They're a little bit on that bubble. If they lose, they're done. If they win, there's a shot they're in. Donegal, their tough loss last week to Lancaster Catholic, 21-14. That pretty much puts their postseason hopes to an end. So, yeah, Donegal doesn't have anything to play for. And I think Annville-Ceona, that kind of motivates them when things get tough. So I'm going to go with the Little Dutchman this week.
Yeah, John, you mentioned that I think this is going to be a really good game between these two teams. Donegal has done well defensively. Their last 4 games were under a touchdown, 7, 6, 4, and 1-point losses, especially that late loss to Lancaster Catholic last week. I have to give the advantage to AC, though. If you look at that offense, it's kind of clicking. Last week, Noah Myers went 5 for 5 with 5 touchdowns. He's got things going through the air. Cameron Hawk has things going on the ground. That being said, I think I've gotten every Donegal pick wrong this season. So,
you and Tim?
Yeah, maybe Mount Joy fans will be happy that I pick against them, but I'm going to go with the Dutchman on this one.
I'm going to agree with you guys and go with Annville. I think the margin of error for Donegal is a lot smaller because they run that wing T, and it has to be so precise, and one mistake could turn things around. I think Annville can put up big points pretty quickly. So I think if they can get out to a lead like that, I think it might kind of snowball on the Indians. But like Diana said, you never know with Donegal. So those are our picks, and you can watch us make picks every Thursday afternoon, and you can follow along our live coverage every Friday night on LancasterOnline.com. Thanks for tuning in.